Hello there, fellow adventurers. This is Sorvestion coming to you from Riders of Icarus with another taming guide, this time for Windrunner. So, Windrunner is one of 3 tameable griffins in Riders of Icarus and probably the coolest looking one. He's also one of the more difficult mounts in the game to tame. Currently, I think he's the 3rd most difficult, right after Garm and Agnes the Red. And the reason for that is because he is, well, A, a really tough monster, and B, because getting the mark to tame him is also very difficult. As you can see from the book here, we're going to have to deal with the Kabemus in the cemetery, and we're going to have to get some Ashtails, actually some albino Ashtails, and some blue flame phoenixes. So this, well, just getting the recipe for his mark is quite difficult, and getting all the mats that you need to craft his mark is also rather difficult. So if you want to tame him, there's 2 ways you can go about it. The first way is just to buy his mark right off the auction house. However, that way tends to be a little bit more expensive with the way things are now. I don't know, the price might come down in the future, but for right now, it's fairly expensive at almost 30 gold each. And, you know, if you end up failing, well, you're going to have to spend another 30 gold to get another mark. So the first route is by far the quickest, but it's really expensive. At least for me, because I only have 32 gold. The other way is to craft the mark yourself, and for that you're going to need a Windrunner's mark recipe. Now you can buy that off the auction house for between 1 to 2 gold, and in my opinion that is preferable to farming it for 3 reasons. The first being that the mobs you need to farm are level 28 elite, and they're these Kabemus priests. There's also a guardian spirit that spawns in this blood circle here, and they're the ones that drop the recipe. However, because they're really high level and because they're elites, they have a lot of HP and they also resist a lot of your attacks. So it takes a long time to kill them. They're not easy to farm. They do spawn relatively close together. I mean, you can't tell right now because these guys are down there killing all of them. But when there's no one here, there's a lot of them and they're all very close together. So it's very hard to pick them off one by one. The second reason is because the drop rate for the recipe is also very low. So not only are these things or these mobs very difficult to kill, but you're going to have to kill a lot of them before you see the recipe, unless you're really lucky. And the third reason is because there is a lot of competition for these mobs. See, there's the Guardian Spirit right there. Level 29 elite. So, as I was saying, there is a lot of competition for these mobs. It doesn't matter what time you log in on. It doesn't matter what channel you go to. There is always people here farming these mobs, and that makes it really difficult for you to, get down here and try and farm them yourself, because there is just so much competition for them. However, if you are going to farm the Kabemus, then as you can see here, the best thing to do is just to keep moving and to try and ball them up. See, their little purple orbs aren't really hitting me, and then I can just go in there with my whirlwind spear and I can just keep doing that, and just as long as I keep moving, I'm not going to take too much damage. And that's what the people who farm these Kabemus do. They just keep moving and they use their whirlwind spear and maybe a few other skills, but they don't stop moving. Because otherwise, all these purple orbs, they will just completely wreck you in no time at all. But if you keep moving, and as you've seen, then they won't be able to hit you, and even though it will take a bit of time, you will be able to kill them. And here you can see that the Kabemus have dropped the recipe. Okay, so once you've learned and obtained a Windrunner's Mark recipe, you're going to find that there's a lot of stuff you need to get before you can actually craft a Windrunner's Mark. Now that includes 5 sealed albino Ashtails. I have 3 of them here in my inventory. Now, I'm not going to cover how to tame an albino Ashtail. I've already made a video about that, so if you want to know where you can find them and how to tame them, you can go check out that video. You will also need some elite sealing stones in order to seal them. In addition to those, you're going to need 5 blue flame phoenixes, 30 familiar orbs, and 2 elite taming potions, this thing right here. Now, you can get those elite taming potions from any barter crafting vendor.
You won't find pieces like this.
And yeah, they're just right here in the raw material tab, so those are super easy to get. Now, the blue flame phoenixes can be found in the Broken Caldera, flying at around 200 meters, and they're a fairly easy mount to tame. I do think it's a good idea to take down their HP a little bit before you try taming them, just to make it a little bit easier and to reduce the chance that you'll fail. And you do want to make sure that you get like right on top of them before you try and make the jump. Perfect. Nailed it. And they shouldn't give you too much trouble. It's very unlikely that you'll fail, especially if you took down their HP before you jumped on them. Perfect. See? Super easy. And once you've tamed all the blue flame phoenixes you need, you can just go ahead and seal them up with just some common level 10 seal stones. And there we go. Now I have 5 sealed blue flame phoenixes. Alrighty, so now that I have all the materials that I need, I can go ahead and craft my Windrunner mark. And it looks like I just got one of them. So hopefully I don't fail taming Windrunner. So now the big question is, how can you find Windrunner? And he can be quite hard to find. He is in Kane's Crossing, but he doesn't stick to just one small area. He pats around a very large area in a set path. Now that path starts at the bottom of the Elgrin farm, where the tip of my mouse is. And if you follow my mouse, he kind of moves up here to where these 2 roads are, and then he turns. He kind of heads back and goes in front of the city and keeps going up. And then once he gets to about here, he turns east and he starts going this way. He crosses the little river, and then he crosses over top of the road and he starts coming down. And then he starts heading west, and he starts heading over here. And then once he gets to around here, he starts heading south, all the way back down to the bottom of the Elgrin farm. So he has a large path that he pats on, and he moves clockwise, always. So he's always going around like this. So your best bet to finding him is actually to go counterclockwise around his kind of route. Now he flies at 60 meters, and he does fly rather fast, so you will need a mount that is kind of speedy in order to catch up to him. A flying mount, that is, not a ground mount. Now as for Windrunner himself, he is a non-hostile elite. He does have a lot of HP, and he does tend to hurt. So, for a tank, it's not really too big of an issue, but if you're in a squishier class, then you're going to need to make some preparations. You're going to need some health potions, or maybe some healing, or something, because if you're not prepared, and you're not max level, so you should be in full frost gear. If you're not in, like maxed out gear, and you're not level 25, and you aren't prepared, this guy can easily tear you apart, so a little preparation is needed. Now, if you can't find him along his path, that might be because someone else has already tamed him or killed him for whatever reason. Now, Kane's Crossing does have 3 channels. You can check all 3, and I do recommend flying his route counterclockwise to check. But, you might have some trouble, and you might need some patience, because if someone's tamed them recently, then you won't find him. And you'll just need some patience to wait for him to respawn. I don't know how long it takes him to respawn, but I do know that people have had some trouble finding him, and that's probably the reason why. Now, there's also one other thing that makes him kind of hard to find is that you do need to get relatively close to actually see him. Because, I don't know, for some reason, he doesn't render on your screen unless you're within a certain proximity to him. And I don't know, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Most other flying familiars or creatures you can see from pretty far off, but not Windrunner. Windrunner, you have to be fairly close to actually see him on your screen. Alright, so this is about how close I need to be to see him. See, he disappears if you're not too close to him. He's not too hard to keep up with, although I think you will need, you know, a fast mount, kind of like my dragon here. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's try taming him. So I am going to whittle down his HP, because he is, you know, a very strong familiar. And I mean, look at that. He has a lot of HP. And I'm put another explosive shot on him. Wow. That's a lot of HP. Alright, I think that's enough. So I'm going to get in position to tame him now. Okay, not quite close enough. I think that's about close enough right there. Excellent. And hopefully this works, because I've only got one mark and I don't want to fail it. Seems like it's going alright so far. Oh, no, 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 no. Come on, green bar. Come on, green bar. Perfect. Excellent. Oh yeah, and the mighty Windrunner has been tamed. So here you can see Windrunner's stats, and he gets 3 skills. Dignified Guard, which is a passive. It increases physical defense by 11%. He also gets a buff, Mystic Cry, which increases magic attack by 20% for 30 seconds and has a 1-minute cooldown. And Gouging Strikes, which is an attack, which deals 40 to 60 damage to health every 3 seconds for 10 seconds and has a cooldown of 15 seconds. Alright, so that is how you tame the mighty and majestic Windrunner. This has been Sorvestion in Riders of Icarus. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel for more taming guides. Until next time, adventurers, take care and have fun.